the gray. Lighting's off a little bit. It is October 28th, 2014. So, I think a while back I was asked why I have a YouTube channel and why I chose YouTube as my platform. In the past, I've had, I guess, writing logs, diaries, but I always kind of got really distracted and kind of bored with writing. I legit, there's a lot of times when, if I go through these pages, it's like I'm writing a good chunk and then I just stop. And I never really pressed myself to be pretty diligent about keeping track of, like, how I'm feeling and all that stuff. Though, I am a talker. And I think that really spawned out of, my early days in therapy when I used to never talk, nor make eye contact, or even feel any ounce of self-worth. Kind of made me be and becoming of the person who I am now, start that developmental path of having self-worth and really advocating for myself and really, being a communicator. So through that, from early teens, pretty much all up until a couple years ago, I had audio recording. And I actually, my source was this Fisher-Price old school 1980s, like, little, set that I used. And I had another one, not Fisher-Price, but, I guess year appropriate, in the early 2000s, one in my car, which I have, and I have a lot of tapes. I think the one weird nervousness thing is that, up until a couple years ago, I found out that that was actually not recording, which I was super upset about, and kind of had this whole, like, all those times I was talking about really intense stuff and feelings and thoughts and da-da-da, like, it's gone. So I think that's why another reason why I haven't really gone back in the past to look at all these tapes. And I have, like, a huge bin that I call as the bin of doom, with all of my important paperwork and, like, my will and other stuff. But there's, like, countless tapes that I haven't gone through yet. I think it's also that I'm a little afraid of, like, what I was talking about as a kid and going through the things I was going through, developmentally and identity-wise, and with how I felt the world was treating me and how I viewed the world in itself. So I love YouTube. I love a lot of YouTubers that are out there, and I really honor them of how they've really kind of poured their soul and their life into it. So, selfishly, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna do YouTube, because, and not to downgrade, literature or audio taped, produced self stuff, it really, well, stick with that. That I feel like with the video content or clips, you could actually really see a lot of things that's going on. And selfishly, years ago when I enlisted, I made my will, and attached to that, I made some videotape discs for people in my life if I were to pass, and, like, messages I sent with them. So I've always had, like, video stuff in the past. In high school, I did extensive documentaries about gay youth that are homeless, youth that are not living with their parents, kind of stuff. In college, I took a documentary class. I actually thought that maybe I would go into making documentaries, and that didn't turn out. So I've always had, like, video in my background. It wasn't until, me being chronically ill where I decided to turn the camera back on myself and figure out what's going on. Yeah, so that, and because of being chronically ill and not being diagnosed yet, and being, mid-20s, God forgive, like, I just would never wish this on anyone younger than me, but it's it's really at times heartbreaking and soul shattering, and there's like, this is the most struggle I've ever been through, and that's saying a lot because I've been through a lot. So, and it was also when they told me that I should be having someone once a week check up on me because I could be dead in my apartment. I was like, I don't want all this to go to waste. I don't want people to find out these tapes and figure out that they're empty. So, or, you know, not really quite understand what my writing says. So I decided to start making clips, and it wasn't until maybe the 8th one I did or so, 6th or 8th one I did, I was like, okay, I need to post these. Because also, where I'm at in my life, I felt like everything else in my life, people weren't really listening, or I just felt like I didn't want all of my stuff just to dissipate when I die. I really want someone to understand my struggles and to see it and to value it, and I know there's other people out there. I've met a lot of people in my immediate circle that after telling them and them seeing my channel, they tell me they're like, oh, like, I'm actually chronically ill too, and I'll, like, that episode about, like, going to the other doctor and, like, what she said of being, like, you're so young, like, I had the same experience, like, I just want to punch her in the face too, like, so that made me feel really good, and it was also made me feel like there's a sense of community out there, and, I have, gotten random stuff from random people being like, yeah, like, I feel you, but, yeah, so that's why I chose YouTube. Not that I would ever say that I'm a YouTuber like Ashley Martell or Ella Steph or any of those people at all. And I definitely do not foresee myself being a YouTuber on chance. It's definitely just like a living blog that I'm having, to kind of go through my turmoil that I'm going through. But that is definitely the main reason of, like, why YouTube and everything like that. There's a couple clips I've done about some very serious stuff, and actually rewatching it validated a lot of things that I was feeling, and it actually made me feel really better, like, to the same, like, content that I feel at times after a therapy session. So it's been kind of a positive experience thus far. And some of my clips get a lot of viewers, which is interesting. And I really wish that there's a little bit maybe more talk. 'Cause I'm really eager to find more people that are in my situation, or people that have been through it before. Specifically being young and going through it. I feel like there's a huge gap in research and support networks and therapy models that can cope with this stuff. I'm actually currently writing a thesis on that, and just from the lack of research that I can find says it all. Especially in the US, there's a lot of international studies out there about this stuff. Yeah, that's why YouTube, and every week I feel like, as much as my health stuff has been kind of on the back burner now, waiting for my next round of MRIs, I do have a second opinion with an MS neurologist this coming November. Even though it's been on the back burner, I have routine questions about it, every week about stuff, and then about new stuff that, like, yeah, that's never been talked about. Like, that's a good question. So yeah, that is why, and, I'll be more diligent about loading videos and talking and stuff. Been quite depressed for the last couple weeks, so I'm trying to get through that, so forgive me, and hopefully I forgive myself looking back and looking at this stuff, but yeah, that's why YouTube, and I hope you guys are hanging in there, and enjoy the weather wherever you're at.